Well, chili never gets old.
Nor boring.
That's true. And there are hundreds of variations of chili con carne. And we have done many different, like chili colorado and smoked chili and this, that, and the other. But today we're going to make a chili con carne, which, well, as I said, there are no rules, so you can do whatever you want. But obviously for chili con carne, you need chilies. Yes, you can make it with chipotle powder or cayenne pepper powder or whatever and do it as a quick fix. But if you really want to make it good, you need your dried chilies. And for today, I have chosen a little bit different than we've done before. I can't remember the names, so I have them here. 2 pasilla, 2 guajillo, 2 mulatto, and 2 anchos. And then we have our chipotle peppers, but I'm taking them in adobo sauce to give a little bit of a different flavor. When it comes to dried chilies, then they come like this, and you have to make sure they're pliable. If they are too dry, then there are no essential oils left, and then just throw them out. But you have to get the seeds out. So you take your kitchen shears and open it up, and see if we can get her open here, because there are a lot of seeds in here, and they're bitter. And also, they are extremely spicy. So if you don't want to kill your guests or your family, then you want to get those out.
Yeah, you better not.
And my family, they're quite sensitive to heat. So, but you see how many there are. It's insane.
Wow, yeah.
You want to, don't have to get everything out, but you need to get the majority out exactly, so that it's. And then basically, once you have them here, break them up, put them in a pan, and then we're gonna roast them off. I'll show you when I finish these, so see you in 2. And when we have all of them in our pan, what we wanna do first is we wanna crank it up to medium high, and now we wanna dry roast them for a short time, 30, 45 seconds, maybe a minute, until they get out like a little bit of smoke and you start smelling them in the air. You want to roast them that little bit first to start. You will get a shine on them, and the essential oils, they start coming out, and that's what you want. I think you can maybe already see it because it goes fast with the induction. So we're getting, nice.
Are we gonna cry soon?
Yeah, you're gonna cry soon and cough and all the good stuff. This is, but be careful not to burn them. You just want them to warm up a little bit and get a little bit of a shine here. Stir them around, and that's about enough, because otherwise the bottom one, they will start burning. I'm going in beef stock and make sure that they get covered, and we bring that to a simmer. That will take very little time. Now you can smell it, huh?
Yeah,
This is gonna be toasty, trust me. Just want to bring it up to a good, healthy simmer. And when everything is nice and bubbly and we have steam coming out, we are going to cover it up. Leave it for another 5-10 seconds so it really gets steamy in there. And then we're going to kill the heat, and we're going to put this aside so it can steep over here in the hot liquid for 10, 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, doesn't really matter. And then we're going to continue with our meat. But before we start with the meat, there was one thing I forgot to tell you. If you are in a place where you don't have, let's say, a Mexican supermarket or whatever nearby, and you can't get dried chilies easy, then you order them online. But when you buy them in bulk like I do, they come in these flimsy plastic bags, and then they dry out. So once you get them, vacuum seal, just a little trick. They last borderline forever like this, so you have chilies for all your good recipes. I have here 2.6 kilos, 2.7 kilos. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pounds of beef, 80-20 approximately. Don't go more lean than that, because that will just not become nice. And now you will think that I'm daft, but we're going in with all of it in one go. Just into your pot, crank it up, and now we're going to start searing. And here we are going to go significantly further than you would if you were doing, let's say, a bolognese or something like that. This is going to be cooked very far, and I'll show you why as we're doing it. So start breaking this up and just until it crumbles down. This will take some time, at least half an hour. But we have things to do in the meantime. But let's get it started. After about 10 minutes of heavy lifting here, breaking this down, with a tired arm, then you get to this point. I don't know if you can see this, but now it's all broken down to little pieces. And when you open it here, you can see that water comes out of the beef. Now it's not the time to continue. Now it's the time where you let this cook off so all the water evaporates and the beef will start getting really brown. I will show you how that goes. But now I don't have to stir it all the time. So now I can move on with our chili paste. And this is bubbling away nicely over here, as I said. And you see, water is evaporating. It's going well. So let that continue while we start our chili paste. Let's get all of these nice and soft now. Chilies into our blender. Food processor, Vitamix, whatever you have. Don't care. It's just all needs to go in. I'm trying not to make a mess, which my wife, she hates.
Okay.
Isn't that true?
So very true.
And then let's see if we can pour the rest here. Yeah. Should have used a lighter pan. This was quite heavy. But okay, it works. Give this a stir in the middle, so we're saving time. Like this. To this, I like to add my spices to this. You could do it later in the stew, but I think it makes sense to put it into our paste here. 2 tablespoons of cumin, 2 tablespoons of coriander seeds, which has been roasted and then through the mortar and pestle. I don't need to show you that, so did it off camera. And then I'm going in with 2 tablespoons of oregano. Pepper I will do later, but I will give it a little bit of salt also to bind the things together while we are waiting for the beef to finish. So this is not the salt for the stew, obviously. Maybe not traditional in Chile, but a little bit of tomato paste. Never hurt anybody, and it gives good deep flavors. So 2, maybe 3 tablespoons of this.
You have a lot of meat anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite big. And then some of our chipotle peppers in adobo sauce. I don't know how much we're going to do here. I don't want to make it over spicy, so a good healthy tablespoon of that and a little bit more of the sauce. Then I think we're good to go. The rest we will save for something else. And then give this a little bit of a stir here with the water.
You're multitasking today.
Well, we have to be faster when we do things like this. So on with the lid, and now we want to blend this to a smooth paste. And that looks just about perfect to me. So this we put off to the side, and then we have to finish this off. That will take another 15-20 minutes, so see you when it's ready. As I told you, we wanted to take this much further. Now I'll show you what it's all about, because we kept going for more than half an hour and all the water is evaporated. Now I just switched it down a little bit because it was very steamy, so you couldn't see anything. But you want to go to, I don't know if you can see that from the top camera, where you have half of it almost is like these brown bits. So you get that really beefy flavor. That's the idea here that we're going for. So now in the middle here, let me put this because the pot is warm. We have a lot of beautiful fond in the bottle here. So first things up is to crank up the heat again. And then we're going to deglaze it with something. You could use cognac, you could use whatever. Now we're in Greece, so I'm using metaxa, whatever you have. Just pour that in the middle here where we created that little hole. That's about it. And let that lift up the fond. Give it a hand with your spatula. And there you see how that lifts off. I don't know if you can see from the top camera, but it goes off like a charm. And all of that is going to give fantastic deep flavor to our sauce. And don't worry, this is not going to get dry. I mean, if that's what you're thinking out there, because I cooked it so long, it's not going to get dry. Nothing gets dry with me behind the wheel. That's how it is. So now we're just going to continue and letting that lift up here in the bottom. Then we will add 3 cloves of minced garlic in the middle, just to let it get fragrant a little bit. And yes, as you might have thought already, I'm not going to fry my onions because that's not the purpose of this recipe, but I just want my garlic to get a little bit fragrant. Now you smell it, just about there, in with that. And basically, we're going to add 3 medium-sized diced onions, straight up as they are, and get them mixed into our meat. And there are reasons behind all of this, because we want to go for a completely different flavor profile. And I want the onions to not be fried, but to cook together with the meat here. That will give very different flavor to this compared to what you regularly would do. And actually, I got some inspiration here from another YouTube channel called That Dude Can Cook. You should check it out. He's good. So took some inspiration from him. There we are, onions in. And we're going to go in with this is 3 cans of crushed tomato. There we go. Crank down the temperature a little bit and stir that in. This is beginning already to smell good. Then we are going in with 1 liter of our homemade beef stock. There's a link down below how to make that. It's absolutely fantastic beef stock. And now, as things they're calming down a little bit here because we got some liquid in, and we can give it a good stir. This is gonna be so good. But now comes what's making it really good. Our chili paste. All of it straight in there. This is where all the flavors are coming from. Basically, this is close to the chili paste we used when we made chili Colorado. Again, link down below how to make that. Also, fantastic chili recipe. So there we are, all of that in, that to a side. And then we are missing only a few things that needs to cook in this. Untraditionally in Chile, we are going to add, this is 4 medium-sized carrots diced. Gonna add that in. I love that in stews. And then we have a jar of flame-roasted red bell peppers. You can do this yourself if you're so inclined, but honestly, I find the hustle and bustle of doing it over getting them from a can, you get exactly the same results. So store-bought, perfectly fine. And now we're just gonna stir that well together. And then we will, as soon as this comes to simmer, we're gonna put a lid, and then we're gonna let it simmer for at least an hour and a half before we check in on it, because it needs to reduce, it needs to combine all the flavors. So yeah, that's about it. But one last thing that goes in before we pop the lid on, little party trick here. This is the rind of Parmesan that we have grated. Always save those, because in stews like this just gives magnificent flavor and texture. So in with that, and then we're gonna let that simmer away. Bye-bye. Here we are, 1.5 hours in, and now it's time to see how we are doing. We put the lid a little bit ajar so we could get rid of some of the liquid, because we don't want this to be too soupy. And by the way, if you're using cast iron from Petromax, not sponsored at all, you need to get one of these, because the lid is heavy and you can't really touch it with anything. So this is a nice little tool to have. There we go. Now let's see how we're doing. It smells fantastic. Ooh, that looks good. And it's also getting to the right consistency now. We lost a little bit of liquid. I think this is looking good. Now, before we move on, I want to taste it for salt, first and foremost. It needs a pinch of salt. Pinch of salt. Nothing crazy. Just, we have, that's called a pinch when we have 2.5 kilos of meat. And it's almost there. So we're going to add our beans. Today we're using black-eyed beans. You could use pinto or kidney beans or red kidney beans or black beans, whatever you prefer. If you don't like beans, don't put them. It's up to you.
Or put them and put them on the side after.
Yeah, exactly. You can do whatever.
Your husband likes them.
Whatever you want, but I do like a little bit of beans in my chili. I don't want it to be a bean stew with bits of meat. I want it to be a chili with some beans. So if you want more beans, by all means, make a mixture. Put red kidney beans, put pinto, put whatever you want. And now we're going to let this cook for no more than 15, 20 minutes. We don't want to overcook the beans. And then we are ready to plate up after that. That is my preferred way to serve chili. In a bowl, bit of grated cheese, green onion, homemade tortilla chips, and a dollop of Greek yogurt. You can do sour cream, you can do Mexican crema, whatever you want, but I do love the Greek yogurt addition to this. So now let me give this a try, because I've been spelling this for a couple of hours and I look forward.
Me too.
That is amazing chili. It is super flavorful. Everything is so well balanced in this. This one is family friendly though. If you would ask me personally, I would have added a couple of tablespoons of chipotle powder at the end, but I also have to think of the rest of the family. So this is the right level of heat. If you want it more hot, add some chili powder, some chipotle powder, cayenne pepper, or even some of our habanero chili jam, which we made in another episode. A link down below, because that thing is super hot. Nonetheless, fantastic chili recipe. So this should be on your list of things to do. See you next time.